Welcome to That's Good Broncos. I'm Brandon. If you squint hard enough, take an edible, it might look like Super Bowl 50 Perna. You might also damage your vision, which might not be the worst thing when you have to watch Broncos football every week. Okay, Panthers fans, can we all agree Super Bowl 50 is water under the bridge? This is the Broncos Panthers prediction episode, and that, my friends, Matt rules. Let's get Broncos. Boo-boo! Subscribe here to That's Good Broncos for continued Broncos coverage, and 'tis the season of buying my fucking coffee. Benchwarmerbrew.com. It's my fucking coffee. So when you buy it, you're buying my... It's good coffee. It is very good coffee. And every order that we fulfill, a donation is made through the Faya Foundation to help a hungry person in need. So when you buy coffee from benchwarmerbrew.com, you're actually doing something good in the world. Also, the Benchwarmer Brew mugs, undefeated in moral support, because we're all a bunch of bench warmers in real life. So much so that even with my own business, I ordered mugs that say Big Boss on the back, and I had no fucking clue Big Boss was coming. And now these mugs are becoming iconic on the internet. So get your Big Boss mug. It's the only way anybody's ever gonna call you that. Benchwarmerbrew.com. My coffee. All right, this is the second time these two teams will have played since the Broncos won Super Bowl 50. And sadly, neither Von Miller nor Cam Newton are playing. It's not just them though. The Panthers only have one starter left from 2015, Shaq Thompson. Actually, that's not entirely true. They have one of our starters in Matt Paradis. We already got Will Parks back. Let's just take Matt Paradis home while we're at it. Matt, I know you're mad that I forgot you in the top 5 Gingers episode, but please let bygones be bygones, Matt. Now both of these teams are 4-8, and I would argue that both of these teams are actually better than their record would indicate. The Panthers have a point differential of -20, which is pretty good for a team with 4 more losses than wins, and just one indication that they should be a lot better next season. The Broncos have been playing without their best player in Von Miller, or Cortland Sutton if you want to call him that, and the Panthers have played 9 of their first 12 games without Run CMC Christian McCaffrey. For me, the biggest difference is that I truly believe Carolina will be competing for first place in the NFC South in 2021. I believe Matt Rule was a great hire. The defense in Carolina is barely legal, and a healthy Run CMC with a few free agent additions or nice draft pieces should have Panthers fans excited, especially our old friend
lightning fast, big black cats, Panthers kicking ass.
The Broncos in 2021? I just don't know. Everything depends on Drew Lock. So, Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater in this game. One of the biggest disparities between these two QB quarterbacks is their completion percentage. Drew Lock is sitting at under 60%, while Teddy Bridgewater is currently over 70%. And despite playing 3 fewer games, Lock has Bridgewater beat in interceptions 13-8. Lock's kryptonite is throwing the ball perfectly to the team in the wrong uniform. Teddy's biggest issue is just its overall production as a passer. He's a safe QB who doesn't take a lot of risks, which, yes, we might welcome here in Denver, but he needs to exhibit more confidence with his downfield passing and throw more touchdowns. That sounds Pretty basic, right? Hell, Carson Wentz, though, has 2 more passing touchdowns than Teddy Bridgewater this season. He's a good scrambler. He just needs to trust his arm to turn those scrambles into spirit-killing plays. His completion percentage is actually higher than his 5-game stretch with the Saints last year. His yards per attempt are greater, but his rate of touchdowns is lower. Now, this week, Odell Beckham Jr. stated that Pat Shurmur sabotaged his career in New York. Get in line, Odell. Imagine where this YouTube channel would be right now if the Broncos offense was good this season. Odell is probably the wrong guy to use as an example for Pat Shurmur's failings as a coach. What I want to see, though, from Shurmur is him taking advantage of Drew Lock's athleticism. As bad as Lock has been this season, his strength has been not getting sacked. 0 taken in the last 2 games, and while nobody sees him as an athlete in the same likeness of Patrick Mahomes, his most recent opponent, or Josh Allen, John Elway's wet dream that never came to blow, Lock might possess similar speed as both of those QBs. Drew Lock actually ran a faster 40 time than both Mahomes and Josh Allen. My eyes tell me that while Drew is sneaky fast, he's not as elusive as Mahomes, nor as intimidating of a runner as Josh Allen, but an offensive game plan designed to his ability to run should be implemented. There's a fucking blueprint out there with Josh Allen or Taysom Hill or Lamar Jackson that you can tweak for Drew Lock. Allen has turned into a top-tier passer, but right now Hill and Jackson are, in my opinion, lacking in consistency with their arms, much like Lock. And yet their teams are having more success on offense. To me, that can be mitigated with first downs Lock picks up with his 3 legs, if it so be. Broncos offense against Carolina's defense. I think over the last 2 real games, the Broncos found out their best play is pulling their guards and giving the ball to Melvin Gordon. That's probably a good game plan against the Panthers, who are giving up 4.6 yards per carry to opposing running backs. Pair that with 14 touchdowns too, and the Broncos would be wise to run the ball early and often, like they've done the last 3 weeks. People love to shat on Melvin Gordon for whatever reason, but he's averaging 4.6 yards a carry, exactly what the Panthers are giving up. So that's some symmetry, that there's something there. And he has 9 more broken tackles than anyone else on the team, running back or receiver. Guess who's second? Jeudy with 5. Here's a case of stoppable force versus movable object. Drew Lock has thrown 13 interceptions in 8 games this year. Way too many. But the Panthers defense only has 5 interceptions in 12 games this year. This might be the perfect opportunity for Drew Lock to get over his crippling interception habit and develop a heart-stopping addiction to touchdowns. It's like when you use cigarettes to curb your hunger for heroin. Smoking Drew Lock is what we'll call him. Oh no, that's probably not good. Is this a secondary the Broncos receivers can consistently get open against? They don't get a ton of interceptions, and they do allow a 68% completion rate, but fewer than 7 yards per completion. So they definitely keep everything in front of them. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing for a Broncos offense that's too aggressive in the passing game. So I have a feeling this could either be a great game for Drew Lock or an awful game for Drew Lock. It could be both. And I know those definitive takes are why you come to this channel. Pat Shurmur said the Broncos will continue to get Jerry Jeudy the ball. And that concerns me. Since Jerry Jeudy has 1 reception in the last 2 games for 5 fucking yards. How do you keep doing something you're not doing, Pat? This is why you drive fucking Broncos fans crazy, man. Something about that Pat Shurmur really gets me going. Oh, it does. And I'm gonna continue having 1 million subscribers here on YouTube too, Pat. If the Broncos do struggle on offense, it probably won't be because of the Panthers' pass rush. Carolina has just 18 sacks this season, which is tied for 5th least in the NFL. So there's hope for the Broncos offense. Broncos defense versus Panthers offense. The Broncos lost yet another defensive back last week in Isang Bassi. And oh yeah, AJ Boye got popped for PED use and is suspended for the rest of the year. So to summarize, no Boye, no Callahan, and no Bassi, which leaves us with Michael Ojemudia, Devontae Bosby, Duke Dawson, and Kevin Tolliver, whoever the hell that is, left to cover one of the most underrated wide receiving trios in the league in DJ Moore, Robby Anderson, and Curtis Samule. Those three guys have combined for 2,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's like a Julio Jones ratio of yards to touchdowns. Since Robby Anderson scored a long 41-yard TD last week, he's not due to find the end zone again until week 6 of 2021. Now, we can't be 100% sure that Christian McCaffrey is not going to play, even though Matt Rule said he doesn't anticipate him playing. It looked like he was on track to return for this game, but as soon as he came back to practice, he tweaked his quad and has missed the Wednesday and Thursday practices so far. It sounds like a huge loss, but they've been playing without Christian McCaffrey for most of the season, and Mike Davis played really well in McCaffrey's absence early on, although he slowed down a bit recently. Now, one of the best things the Broncos did a week ago was bat the ball down at the line of scrimmage, and that was primarily due to all I do is slap balls Shelby Harris returning to the lineup. If they can repeat that against the Panthers, it could seriously disrupt the offense, considering batted balls typically happen on short drops, and Teddy Bridgewater's average depth of target is just 6.8 yards, which is 4th lowest in the league. And actually, if Shelby Harris can just bat down every passing attempt, I don't think any team could beat the Broncos. So as good as you are, Shelby, maybe be better. Now back to Bridgewater's average depth of target at 6.8 yards, which again is low. By comparison, Drew Lock is at 9.5 yards, a half yard higher than anyone else in the league, which might explain the completion percentage being so low, doesn't it? Denver will have Will Parks back in the secondary. Parks received a very warm welcome as he returned to the Broncos locker room, and I love that he chose to wear number 27 in his return. And not because of its correlation to Steve Atwater, but because I have said, damn, I miss Will Parks exactly 27 times this season. X factors in this game. Even though Von Miller won't be playing the team he single-handedly spanked in the Super Bowl, he proved he's an absolutely twisted individual with his most recent tattoo, getting the Joker's face tatted on his ankle scar. When you're ready to endure more pain in the area that initially caused you great pain, I'd say you're close to a full recovery. Hell, just seeing Von dancing at practice in shorts makes me happy. Another X factor, Jeremy Chinn. 2 weeks ago, Jeremy Chinn recovered 2 fumbles and returned both of them for touchdowns. The lesson? Do not fumble the ball around Jeremy Chinn. You've been warned, Broncos. The Panthers' defensive coordinator is named Phil Snow. The Panthers were on a bye last week, so this is their first game in December, which means we're going to see if the winter season unlocks Phil Snow's powers. And finally, just from looking around online, Panthers fans really still do not like the Broncos. I get it. We beat you in the Super Bowl. Then we beat you again the very next game. And they're especially upset that a few helmet-to-helmet hits didn't get called against Cam. Well, here are my thoughts on the Panthers 4 years later.
I don't think about you at all.
Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Broncos. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, at Brandon Perna if you like to fucks with those social medias. Benchwarmerbrew.com.